What if I told you that one man is about to become so powerful that his company's IPO could move more money in a single day than the entire GDP of Portugal, and that a sovereign wealth fund controlled by a crown prince is quietly writing a $5 billion check to make it happen? You need to understand what's really going on here. Today is April 3rd, 2026. Markets are closed. And while traders are away from their screens, the biggest financial story of the decade is taking shape behind closed doors. SpaceX, Elon Musk's rocket and satellite empire, has confidentially filed for an initial public offering targeting a valuation north of $2 trillion. If it goes through later this year, it won't just be the biggest IPO in American history. It will be the biggest IPO in the history of capitalism. Full stop. The company could raise up to $75 billion in a single offering. To put that in perspective, when Saudi Aramco went public in December 2019, it raised $25 billion, and the world lost its mind. SpaceX is aiming to triple that number. So let's get into the facts, because the numbers here are genuinely staggering. First, SpaceX was valued at roughly $1.25 trillion after it merged with Musk's artificial intelligence venture xAI earlier this year. In just a matter of months, that valuation has nearly doubled to the $2 trillion target we're seeing in this filing. Second, SpaceX currently generates between $15 and $16 billion in annual revenue, primarily from three sources: its Starlink satellite internet constellation, its workhorse Falcon 9 rocket, and its next-generation Starship launch vehicle. Third, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the sovereign wealth fund personally overseen by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, is in active talks to anchor this deal with a $5 billion investment. Fourth, if the IPO price is at $2 trillion, SpaceX would instantly become one of the 10 most valuable public companies on Earth, sitting alongside Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Amazon. And fifth, Elon Musk's personal stake in SpaceX, estimated at around 40 to 42% of the company, would be worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $800 billion on paper, making his total net worth potentially cross the $1 trillion mark when combined with his Tesla holdings. Now here's what most coverage of this story is completely missing. This isn't just a finance story. This is a geopolitics story. Think about what SpaceX actually controls. Starlink has over 4 million subscribers across more than 75 countries as of early 2026. It has become critical communications infrastructure for militaries, including the armed forces of Ukraine, which have relied on Starlink terminals since the first weeks of the Russian invasion in February 2022. The United States Department of Defense has awarded SpaceX billions in contracts for national security launches. SpaceX is, functionally, a defense contractor, a telecommunications utility, and a space transportation monopoly, all rolled into one. And it's about to become a publicly traded company answerable to shareholders. That changes the calculus entirely. Because when you go public, you don't just answer to your vision anymore. You answer to quarterly earnings calls. You answer to institutional investors. You answer to Wall Street analysts who want to know why margins dipped by 0.5%. The tension between Musk's long-term ambitions, colonizing Mars, building a mesh network around the Earth, and the short-term demands of public market investors is going to be one of the defining corporate dramas of this decade. And then there's the Saudi angle, which nobody is talking about enough. The public investment fund putting $5 billion into this deal is not charity, it's strategy. Riyadh has spent the last several years trying to diversify away from oil dependency under its Vision 2030 program. They've poured money into gaming, into sports, into entertainment, into NEOM. But anchoring the largest IPO in history, that's a different kind of play. That gives Saudi Arabia a seat at the table in the single most important infrastructure company of the 21st century. Whoever controls space-based internet and launch capability controls the backbone of the next era of global communication and military logistics. Mohammed bin Salman understands this, and he's buying in early. Now here's the wild card that almost no one is considering. What happens to SpaceX's government contracts when it's a public company with significant foreign sovereign ownership? United States law, specifically ITAR, International Traffic in Arms Regulations, and CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment, impose strict rules on foreign ownership of companies handling classified defense technology. SpaceX launches spy satellites. SpaceX builds rockets that could theoretically carry warheads. If the Saudi Public Investment Fund holds a meaningful stake in a publicly traded SpaceX, congressional scrutiny isn't just likely, it's inevitable. We could see hearings, we could see forced divestitures, we could see a political firestorm that makes the TikTok debate look quaint. The biggest IPO in history might also become the biggest national security debate in a generation. If this surprised you, hit like and subscribe. We cover what mainstream media ignores.